So much for being here. I know that one of the big buzzwords in the industry for the past, 6 months to a year is AI. And I feel like it's one of those things that is on everyone's plate to dive into and learn more about. And it's just a matter of dedicating that time to seeing how it can add value to your office. So, my name is Nora Gallegos. I'm going to be conducting the whole entire series. And we are going to be taking this slow. So I know some of you are nervous about AI. That is completely normal. And this series is designed for you. And nothing we do today goes to a client without you choosing to send it. All right. So we're going to dive in here. And just as a compliance reminder, the AI tools in Precise IP are designed to help you collect client information. They are not designed to give financial advice or investment recommendations. Everything in this session is available to you in your 14-day trial. To open up your session companion guide, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Let's go ahead and kind of run through an orientation of what this guide entails and some best practices on how to use it. And I'll zoom in a little here. So if we go down here toward the middle of the page, I want to stop right here for a second. So there are three ways to build a form. So if you go to Precise FP and you go to the form library, there are about 40 forms there pre-built for you. And you can go ahead and use those right off the bat. And whenever I talk to some of the power users of Precise FP, they always suggest to start there and use some of the prompts or some of the forms that are already in your library. And that's option one. Option two is to start with a template in the form library and then use AI to really formalize it to your firm, your office, your clients. And we will talk about different best practices on what to include when you're personalizing it. But that's your second option, is to start with something that's in the form library and then personalize it using AI. And the third option here is a complete build it yourself, which is amazing, but it's kind of like the paradox of choice where it's like, ooh, I could build absolutely anything. And then it's like, oh, well, what do I build? So we're going to be addressing all of those in this series. And it'll be when we're talking about the build yourself options, I put those more toward the end of the series so we can start slow in regards to installing current templates, customizing them using AI, and then we'll get to the more difficult things down the line. So the next thing on the guide, you'll find this area is going to be super helpful. This is going to be in an accordion layout. So it is going to correspond with each of the 5 sessions. So for example, when we get to session 5, it is going to be all about age-based milestones and different life events. And like I said, we're really going to start building things from scratch using AI when we get to these later sessions. So you'll notice the prompts are right here for you. You would just click on that button that says copy prompt, and I'll show you where to put it. And then you'll use some of the best practices that we're learning throughout the series to go ahead and customize it further. But I think these will add a lot of value to your office because it's really great to be able to have these life event questions in writing and be able to interact with your clients throughout the year and not just, when it's time for client reviews. So this we'll get to it later. And for today's session, we'll be in session 1, and I'll be showing some of the prompts in the chat as well. Now, if I scroll down, and I should have just closed the accordion, but if I scroll down, because you'll notice there are a ton of prompts there. I just scrolled for like 30 seconds. And you'll notice we even have some emails there as an example as well. The next thing that you'll find on this page will be some sample report prompts. So once we jump into the platform, I'll show you how reporting is now AI driven as well. So I threw in some of these sample prompts for you to copy. You just click on that button. It's going to be on your clipboard and you would paste it in and you'd be able to run those reports. All right, so let's make sure that we have this guide open. We have Precise FP open, and we'll go ahead and get started in the first area where um, we're going to be talking about in this session kind of where you're prospecting, you're qualifying leads, you're growing your book of business outside of business hours by people just coming across your website. And if you want to let me know by, throwing it in the chat, if you have a form on your website installed, I want to cover that in today's session because I think that's a really easy home run to start off with, where you install a Precise FP form on your website. And outside of business hours, someone can just come across your page when they're a warm lead and submit their information, and you would wake up and find that lead inside of your Precise FP system. So we're going to be talking about that. And if I jump into Precise FP, let's just do a quick tour of where all of these AI features exist. So there are different places that you'll find it. You'll find it in the form area and you'll find it in the reports area. So we'll start with the easiest area to find AI first, and that is going to be the reports. So if you click on this button here that looks like a piece of paper icon, you can go over to My Templates. So click on the piece of paper icon and choose My Templates. And here you'll find a plus sign in the top right-hand corner and this sparkle icon. So just take a moment there to find this part in the platform. You'll go to the paper icon, click My Templates, click on the plus sign, and choose Generate using AI. So I'm sure we've all been exposed to AI recently. It's built into your desktop, your Microsoft Word, your Outlook, everything at this point. So you'll notice most AI features have this sparkle icon, and we have it as well. You would just choose Generate using AI, and it will open up a free form text field for you to describe in plain language what you want in this report, and it will bring it to you. Now, in addition to those prompts that are on your companion guide, you'll also find these buttons here on the right that you can click on, and it will have some pre-built prompts as well. So you'll notice if I click on client and co-client, one appeared there. If I click on recent engagements, a new one appeared. So those are pre-built options for you as well, as the ones that are in your companion guide. The next place that you'll find the AI is going to be in the form library. So same thing, we'll stay on that paper icon on the left, but this time we'll choose form library. And I'll navigate you to a few different places where you're going to find AI in the form library. So if you go to the paper icon for your templates, choose click My Templates, not Form Library. So go to Templates and go to My Templates. You're going to also find that plus sign in the top right-hand corner, and you'll find that AI sparkle there that says Generate using AI. Now, I did want to start slow in this series, so we're going to get to building templates from scratch using this part of the platform a little bit later in the series, but just know, same thing as the reports, this is a free form text field. You can describe in plain language what you want on the form or who it's to or what reason it's for, and it will create that template for you. And same thing as the reports, there are some pre-built samples here on the right. You could just click on them and they will be there populated for you. And then you can just edit and enhance them from here. All right. So the next place that we will find the AI feature is within a form. So if you click on a form that you want to customize, maybe I want to look at this job change form that I created, I can click customize. And same thing, you're just going to want to have an eye out for that sparkle icon. You can create brand new pages using the AI. So if you want to just describe a page that you want to see, what order you want it in, what way you want to ask the questions, if you want it to explain what the question is in layman's terms for people that aren't really familiar with financial jargon, you can put that here and it will create brand new pages. You'll notice this is just 3 pages, but you can create that 4th page, 5th page, 6th page, all of that using that icon. And then this one here is going to update the page that you're on. So where this one is creating brand new pages from scratch, this button is going to update the page that you're currently on. So I like using this one if I want to add a field in. Maybe I want to add in a field that says alma mater, favorite beverage, military service branch, favorite restaurant. You can go ahead and choose that option and it will update this entire page. And then when you're inside of different elements, you'll notice that that sparkle icon appears as well. So as I click on the headshot element, as I click on the text box element, that icon is there as well. I love this part for hyper personalization. So you can really describe what you want or who this form is going to. I love coordinating the CRM with this and just pulling up a CRM page, picking a few things about this person and their family, putting it here in the AI feature for this element, and it will update that text and make it more personalized. So my favorite example is, maybe you have a client who is a lawyer, he lives in Phoenix, he likes the Phoenix Suns, he likes to volunteer, whatever. You could go ahead and describe that here and it'll hyper personalize it for this person. So they feel like they're your one and only client and you don't have a book of business of 250. When you do that route, you will run into a lot of different forms because you would essentially be creating forms one-off for each person instead of just one template for all. But it's a strategy that your office can think about and see if you want to go that route. You could always delete them after you use them, so your template library stays nice and clean. All right, I'm going to check on the questions here very quickly. Is a recording being sent out to us? Yes, this session is recorded. It'll send over to you via email, and then as you click on the link, the session should be available once the recording is done. And I see Skylar asked, can AI tool help with mapping data/integrations? So we don't have the AI feature in the data set yet, but maybe I'll talk with the team and see if that's on the roadmap. For right now, the AI feature as the system exists today is on reports and forms. And then Skylar's like, no. Yes, I will. That's a good idea. I will definitely see what we can do. And then Conrad says, how can we ensure that we're creating using AI is in sync with our data set? So I would, that's going to happen as we develop this feature. We wanted it to sync up to the data set. So that is something that is happening, but you can always add that into your prompt where you're just saying, connect this to the data set as just like an extra layer of making sure that it happens and it will connect to the data set. So for everyone, if you don't know what the data set is, No worries. The data set is like the powerhouse that powers all of the integration power. So when you export somebody to Redtail, you export somebody to eMoney, that is being done by the data set. So the question is, if you're creating these new things, will it go to the data set? So it will go into the data set, but then you would have to map it if it's something like alma mater. You would have to do that extra step of mapping that field to Redtail. So when you do export it, it does go, but it'll actually create the field for you with that AI. All right, great questions. And I love the interaction. Definitely keep the questions coming. All right, so those are all of the places where you'll find that sparkle icon and hopefully more to come for our friends that are requesting it in the data set. But the next thing that we'll jump right into now that you know where they exist is going to be that form that I talked about by installing contact us or a schedule initial call type of form on your website. So just because I'm a visual person, I'll open up this page here. This is a mock website that I created using Canva. So if you go to my website, and I'm sure you guys have this option too, or I hope, and if not, we will after today's session. You might have a button on your page that says schedule time with us or contact us or learn more about us, whatever it is. And if you click on that button, what you're opening in my example is a precise FP form. So I went ahead and customized this, and I'll show you how to customize it as well. And I can make it even better than what you see here. But this is what we're going to be showing today. This is kind of our prospecting, our lead qualifiers, are getting our pipeline filled up while we are out of the office. And we're going to be able to customize it even further. So I know I built this out. I wanted to show you guys the end result before I show kind of the step-by-step tutorial, just so you get a visual of what we're creating. All right, so how to get there or how to get this. And like I said, we're going to start with the form library templates today and get more advanced later in the series. So we're going to go back to the form library. If you go to templates and choose form library, remember there are about 40 templates here that come complementary with the system, and it's a great place to start. So I'm going to type in financial consultation into that search bar. I'll give you all a moment to type that into the search bar as well, because that is the form that we're going to customize first using AI. So if you choose financial consultation, you'll see some brief details here, how popular it is, the average completion time, and then you're going to want to install this template. So you're going to go to the templates, click on the form library, and then you're going to type financial consultation into that search bar and install the template. Okay, so go ahead and do that very quickly. And then once we go ahead and install the template, it's going to go from the form library into that My Templates tab, which it already opened for me. And next thing we're going to want to do is choose Customize. So we'll install the financial consultation template, and then we'll choose Customize. Now, if you see this form right off the bat, I think it's a great form. It's an absolutely wonderful place to start. You're going to get a ton of value from it, but we want to go deeper. We want to make it even better than this, and we can do it so easily using those AI features. So first, and I might be biased because I'm in marketing, but you want to brand this form, okay? Our job, our front end work right now at this page, or this part of the process is to brand it and make sure it looks and feels like it's coming from your firm, your office, your email. You spend a ton of money branding, choosing your colors, your fonts, your logos, getting your team to do some nice headshots that look similar. So let's put all of those things to use. All right. So a firm that looks like your firm is going to convert better than just a generic one. And if you think about it, it's the first thing a cold prospect is going to see. So it looks like you showed up if you put in a little bit of this time to customize it. So if you click on that water drop icon in the top right hand corner, this page will pop out where you can go ahead and start branding things. And I would have, maybe you have a PDF of your brand guidelines, have that open and handy so that way you can just start copying and pasting the colors that apply to your brand. So I have those on my Word document. I'm just going to be copying and pasting those in. And when you're doing this, when we get to some of the later questions here on the right, like font sizes is something to consider strategically as well, because who is going to be reading this form? Do they have trouble seeing things? Do they have to put on their readers if the font is super small? Those are things you should consider here. If that is the case, bump that default text up to something larger so it is going to show up better for them. And I know even our brand, we use a specific font, we use pop-ins, so we're going to go ahead and change that as well. And make sure you check out the other tabs as well, like backgrounds and borders. For today's session, I'll skip it, but you can change that background. I think I did on this. You'll notice I made my background gray. I made that border orange. So you can go even further than what I'm about to save here. And I think it makes a world of a difference. And Kevin's asking if you already have the colors customized in one template, can you copy/import your firm colors into another template automatically? And that is an option. You would just select on this tab here called Import Theme, and you would search the form that has the template, or you would search the form that has your branding on it already, and it'll import that in. So great and wonderful question, Kevin. You are absolutely correct. If you do all of this once and you make it look and feel perfect to your brand, you do not have to do it each time. You would just import that theme from that point forward. All right, so there are a few changes there. My button is in orange now. The next thing that I would suggest to do as well is to think about your logo, your headshots, your team picture. Maybe you want to put a video as well. Those are all things I want you to start thinking about. And I know Christopher Hesley might be in the room. He's our good friend at Houston First Financial, and he said it perfectly. If you introduce a form with an unfamiliar company logo or even colors, to be honest, it's an extra conversation you do not need. So that is the whole branding argument, is you're gonna, eliminate any questions down the line. All right. So next thing I want to do is create that welcome page, because if we have our cold prospects clicking on that schedule time with us button and it opens up this page, no big deal, but I've seen a lot of offices add in a welcome page that is very, very strategic, in my opinion, because you can add more branding. You could put in, like I said, that logo, the headshot, the team picture, really make it look and feel nice. We're going to share a prompt today that will talk all about the client. So it's kind of giving them those warm and fuzzies inside before they move on in the form. So I'll go ahead and click on that sparkle icon in the top right-hand corner to create a new page. So right when I install this template, it is a 2-page template. It's the free consultation page and it's the thank you page. But I want to add in a new page that will be that first layer that people will see when they click on my button. And I'm going to describe it here. I'm going to paste in this prompt into the chat so you have it. And we will be updating the guide as well so you have it there. But this is going to be helpful for you to have. And let me see if I can paste it in. This is going to be something helpful that you can have to start off with. And it might be too large for me to share on the prompt. So I might put it in the resources area instead. But what I wrote here is a few different things, and I always suggest, using your AI prompt tool as well, like a ChatGPT or a Claude, when you're creating these prompts as well. And I'll show you what I did as like a back and forth. But here I'm saying create a welcome page, write a fee disclosure section for a financial advisor's client onboarding form. Now, this is a hard stop right now. You might not want this. You might not want your fees disclosed upon that initial schedule us button, but hear me out for just 1 second. So I want to credit Brenton Harrison for this concept, and he calls it respectful friction. All right. So friction in a form could be a feature, right? Because a form that asks someone to confirm that they meet your minimum or acknowledge your fee structure or answer some sort of qualifying question before they can book a meeting is protecting your time. So, and it's respecting theirs. So you might consider this as a good strategy. I'll show you what the end result looks like. But the prospects who clear this bar arrive at the meeting differently than someone who, had no idea of your pricing and that it was out of their range. And I know Brenton even he has a Excel sheet that he provides of how, the average fees, or will even provide connection to people that might be in better budget areas. So that is an option as well. For today's example, I'm going to include it. And I love this sentence that we put into the prompt where it says, write it directly to the ideal client, not about the advisor or about the firm. So it's great to be like, we work with $1 million clients and we are award winning and we are this and that. It's great to do that, but the reader doesn't really get much from that. If you write it that way, it's kind of like you're providing, someone's giving you an introduction before you step out to present at a conference. And instead, we're kind of seeing that a best practice is more to make it seem like it's coming for them exactly. So we'll go ahead and show what that might look like, and you could consider using that. And then in this, we're talking about our fee structure, and I'll go ahead and give this to you as an example, and you can kind of edit and alter it from there. And here's my big tip and trick is take these prompts that we have and that we're going to share and put it into your ChatGPT or your Claude, put in some extra things that you would want to include or things that you would want to be removed. And the Claude or ChatGPT will do that for you. But my next suggestion and my next best practice is to do that back and forth. So take that prompt that's edited and altered in, let's just say Claude, and then paste it back into Precise FP and then share the output with Claude. share the output with ChatGPT, and Claude will tell you, this came out correctly, or this is missing this piece. Let me write you a new prompt to fix it. I feel like AI really knows AI, so they're able to work together to create the perfect prompt. If you just take that output, put it into Claude or ChatGPT and say, this is the output from the prompt that was provided, it'll continue to enhance it from there. All right. So you'll notice this is talking right to the person. If you're a busy professional or business owner who wants your money to feel organized and quietly handled while you focus on your work and family, you are in the right place. So maybe I don't work with busy professionals or business owners. Maybe I work with doctors or lawyers or military. Whatever it is, you can change it so that way the AI reflects that language. But what a difference. Someone clicks on that schedule button and they start reading it, and it just feels a lot nicer. All right. So I would suggest to do some personalizing here. I would double click on this and make sure the spacing is the way that you want it. Maybe you want it spaced out like this. Go ahead and start to do that. And you can enhance it even further. Maybe I want to, I've tried this a couple times and I might try it again here is you can put in your brand colors into the box, and it might make it even better. So let's see. I'll just put these are my brand colors. So it's kind of interesting to see what will happen or it will do. And it always takes a few seconds to kind of digest your request, and then it'll come out with an output. And same thing, use Claude, use ChatGPT. Oh, see, that didn't come out right. I wrote it incorrectly where it just pasted my brand colors in, but maybe you want to say like enhance this with my brand colors as well. And I've seen it create bars that make it easier to read, and I have the end result here. You'll notice last time I did it, I had these bars appear, so you can kind of see what the output creates and see if you like it or don't like it. There, it did it for me, and I think that's a lot nicer of an option. And it did delete the initial part about the business. So you might want to undo it and redo it and kind of see what you like. Oops. All right. So like I just did, like I showed you, or like I told you, everything is something that you can undo and redo. If you hate it and you don't like it, you can just click that undo button and it'll go away. And then all of your prompts are being saved as you go. So you'll notice I went back to that AI button for the new page, and my old prompt was there, and it's gonna, create that all again for me. And it went ahead um, and created a new saying there for me as well. So definitely play around and make sure that you test it before you make it client facing. It doesn't need to be, you just pick the first one and go with it. You want to go ahead and test things out beforehand. All right, let me check on the questions very quickly. Um, is there a native integration with Once Hub or Calendly? Yes. So I'm going to show that next, installing our calendar, and I'll do that right now for you. So if I go over to, oh, and it looks like I created 2 pages there. I'll just delete this page. All right, and I want this page to be first, so I went ahead and moved that up. And for the free consultation page, in my opinion, this best time for contact might be a little outdated where you're asking them to choose. And that's because we now have calendar tools that are available, and we do integrate with most of the major calendar tools. So I deleted those out, and if I click on that plus sign, I'm going to choose to add in calendar app and choose which option I use. So if you use Calendly, G Reminders, Zoom Scheduler, Schedule Once Hub, Acuity Scheduling, ZynCal, MS Bookings, you can choose that here. I'm going to choose G Reminders and paste in my G Reminders link. And what will happen here is it'll install my calendar right into the page. So I'll show you how to do that again very quickly. If I want the calendar to go right here, I'll double click on that box, choose calendar app. In my example, I'm using G Reminders. I'll paste in my G Reminders link, create that, and then my calendar will be there as well. So that's something that you can consider doing, is installing your calendar, and that way it'll look like this when they are on your schedule, or they click that schedule button, your calendar will appear here and they'll be able to choose that time and date. Now, if you're giving access to your calendar, that's also where I'm gonna, harp on that respectful friction point, where you might want to make sure that they agree to your fees before you allow them to, just schedule a time with you. So that's where I added this box on that page as well, and I'll show you how to do it as well. But it says, do you agree to the fees? Yes or no. If they choose no, they don't get access to your calendar. If they choose yes, then that calendar will appear. So in this case, that respectful friction is very useful because you might not want them scheduling a time and date, and you'd be able to protect your time that way. So if you want to add that in as well, you would just go to the welcome page and you can add that in using AI. So, add a button that says, or add a multiple choice option that says, do you agree to the fees? Yes or no. And you could use AI and see if it'll build it for you, but otherwise it's very easy and quick to build it as well. But that's kind of your job here, is to see, what best practices are, what works for your firm and your office and your team. And then if you like it, you can implement it, and you'll notice AI built that for me. I didn't have to go in and do that. Now you would want to go to the consultation page and make sure that the entire page has this visibility configured. So I would need to configure the visibility of this so that it ties to that question on the previous page, that this page will only appear if they choose yes as the agree to your fees question. All right. So now that the form is created, it's branded, it's nice. I skipped the thank you page, but please do not forget this page as well. Make it look and feel like your office, and the way that you would want cold prospects to come across you. And I want to get into the web publishing aspect of this so you can see how to add it onto your website. So let me know in the chat if you know what web published is. It may be something that you've just never heard about. And web publish, it takes your form inside of PreciseFP and gives you a public link that you can put anywhere. So your website, your email signature, your LinkedIn bio, that link is live right away when you web publish it. So if you've never used the web published feature, I'm so glad you're here today. If you go back to the templates icon and choose web published, we would just click on that plus sign in the top right-hand corner and choose on that form that we just created. And then in my case, I'm using Canva, like I said. So all I need is a URL, but maybe you need an iframe to go ahead and embed it in your website. This is where you can let us know if you're unsure and we can help you. But I'll go ahead and copy this web published form that I customized using AI, and I'll go back to Canva and I'll click on where I want this button to go. And for me, it's this schedule time with us area. And I would just need to edit the link. If I double click on it, you'll notice there's a link there already because I was showing you the example. But essentially, you would take that form that's perfect and create it as a web published link. And then you'd be able to paste it in. And now it would exist on your website. So I suggest that as a nice way to start in your client data lifecycle of qualifying leads and getting prospects in your pipeline. This is an option. Schedule a time with us button on your website that is enhanced using AI. And then once people come across your website, they can see your form, agree to your fees if that's what you want, and then they could go ahead and choose their date and time and go from there. All right, so remember that web publish feature, just once again, is going to give you a public link that you can put anywhere. All right, so very quickly, the next thing that we'll cover is the intake desk inside. So this first form that we talked about might be the front door. The second form that we'll talk about will be the intake desk inside. You don't want to ask someone for their net worth before they decided to walk in. So this is a form that's built in the library that you can choose to use next. So if we go back to Precise FP, I will go back to the form library. And the next one I want to show you from the library is called onboarding. And it's not the custodial onboarding one, it's the onboarding questionnaire. So if you go to the paper icon and choose form library, you just need to type in the word onboarding questionnaire and it will return you with these results. And this one, I'll go ahead and show you it as well. So that way you can decide if it's useful and implement the best practices that we talked about with the previous form of customizing this language, putting in your logo, your headshot, your team picture, things like that. But what this form is going to do, and remember, all of this will be pre-filled. So they already gave you their name and their email. That would be pre-filled, and anything else that was on this page, like their number, would be pre-filled as well. So now you're building on that last interaction and you're starting to get more information. And in this interaction, we are asking about kind of their goals, what they're looking to accomplish, and it'll get into some ranges here for their income and their investments. And this is a great qualifier as well. So maybe they agree to your fees, but there's more qualification requirements for your firm as well. You can kind of see all of that at this point. So your team can now take that person that appeared in Precise FP, and I'll show you if I go back to the home page. You're going to have a recent activity timeline here on the right. And I did this earlier with an example. If I scroll down here, I put in John Smith's information on this financial consultation example. And you'll notice, his engagement was completed. He was created as an account. And then I can go in and now send John the engagement for the onboarding questionnaire. So you can kind of continue to build and be strategic. All right, checking on the questions coming in very quickly. If Jeffrey's asking if fees are being disclosed, can Form CRS be added or linked? Yes, you can definitely do that. If we go to the form library and you type in Form CRS, um, or it's not Form CRS. I think we have, if we don't have an example, you can go ahead and build one using AI. But yes, you could definitely include your Form CRS in there, and that would be included as well. Another question, Nicole says, can this be an intake form filled out by Precisa P user in addition to something that is sent to the prospects to fill out themselves? Yes. So when you go to the accounts area and you choose to send a family or a person a form, there is going to be an option here, and let me just choose one as an example. There will be an option here that says send immediately or review and edit first. If you choose create and edit, it'll open up the form that the client will see. And Nicole, you and your team can start filling out some of the stuff on their behalf. Maybe you know they plan to retire at 61. You can fill that out and then they would have this filled out for them before they click on the form. All right, and let me see. Will there be recording? Yes. If you use the web publish and then update a form, will it also update the template that is web published? Tara, yes. I tested this yesterday. I published that form on my website and then I added that do you agree to my fees button? And when I went back to my website, it was already there. So it is kind of live as you make changes. Conrad says, can a web publish form be the trigger to start a series in one of the pipelines? So that's what I was testing yesterday is, if they complete that form for the financial consultation, then will it send the onboarding form as well? And I didn't get to finish testing it, but in theory, yes, it would work. And Kathleen says, do these templates link to Redtail? And that's where we talk about the data set. So it's not the templates that link to Redtail. When somebody completes a template, it goes to the data set, and then that data set goes to Redtail. So yes, all of those 100+ fields that you collect will export to Redtail and either create a record for someone who's brand new or update a record that already exist. All right. And Neil is asking, are the AI features available to all subscribers or does access vary by broker dealer slash company? If you subscribe to Precise FP, those AI features are there, but definitely check with their broker dealer to make sure that AI is something that you can use. But you're not collecting or you're just collecting information. You're not giving financial advice using the AI, and you're just kind of personalizing it. Um, can I use AI and ask it to use my website as the reference? Ooh, I like where you're thinking, Rena. So Rena's saying, can I take my website, give it to the AI, and ask it to match it exactly? And I haven't tested that, but I might test that after today's session and get back to you. Another idea from Kimberly, a prompt to add branding by uploading our brand guide. Let the AI do the branding for us. I love that. See, we're just thinking of all of the ways to use it, and I love sessions like this for that. All right, so I'm going to show the last part of the AI things that we wanted to talk about today, and that would be reports. So if I go back to the templates icon and I go to the reports area this time, we're going to go to My Templates. And the report example that I wanted to show today is, assuming everything works magically and those leads just start coming in from our website. let's say we want to see a report now that's going to list all of those that were created in the last 30 days and share that maybe at our next team meeting or whatnot. And I'll paste this prompt into the chat, but I will go to the plus sign in the top right-hand corner, choose generate using AI and paste that prompt in. And you'll notice it says, let me filter and put the lead source. So if I create this template, it's going to take a second here to go ahead and get this created. And just to emphasize again, that is what the AI feature in Precisa-P is doing, is it's allowing you to just say in plain language what you want, how you want it, in what order you want it, in, whatever way you want it. Maybe you want it deeply described, maybe you don't want any description. You can put all of that, and then it'll create it for you. So you'll notice it took just a few seconds there and it created this report for me. And I could build this out further. You'll notice this kind of mimics an Excel sheet. So if your mind works in Excel, you can say, okay, I want to add columns. I want to add in extra contact information. And same thing, you have that AI button to continue to enhance it as you think of more things you want to add and you don't want to manually add it using those plus signs. But let's choose preview in the top right-hand corner and show you what it will look like. So you'll notice the last 30 days is already selected because that's what I put in the prompt. You might want to change that prompt to the last 90 days, the last year, or whatever. And then when you generate the report, that creation date is already going to be customized for you. And here we go. Here is a report of all of the contacts in the last 30 days that have been added to Precisa-P. So you might consider, exporting this and bringing it to your next sales meeting and just going down the line and making sure everyone has been serviced or where they are in the process. But this was a sample AI prompt that we wanted to provide for the reporting feature to kind of complement today's initial session. So I know that was a lot of information today, and I'm just looking at the questions very quickly. Is there a way to add in a CAPTCHA? No, there isn't right now, but I'll check with our dev team and see if there's a workaround for that. And Kyle says, how do we get to the financial consult to edit the template? This wasn't in the report library, so the financial consult template was in the form library. So if you go to the templates page and you click on the form library, I typed in financial consultation into that search bar, and that's where I installed that template to edit. The one that I just showed was for the report. All right, and our templates are listed under form templates, my templates under report. Oh, I don't think that matters, Tracy, but let me see. All right. So thank you all so much for being here. I just want to kind of highlight what we covered today. And since we are going to have that quiz at the end, just remember what a web publish form is. It is a link that you can then use publicly. And today's session, we talked about at what stage in the client lifecycle can we choose to display our fees and ask a prospect to confirm that that the fees aren't a barrier to booking a meeting. And that would be in this stage right now where we were talking about lead qualification and inserting some respectful friction there, especially if we're going to give them access to our calendar, that they are okay with those fees. All right. So, I've worked with a ton of offices. Some of the best forms that I've seen read like a philosophy. So they describe who the advisor works with, what those clients care about, what they can expect from the relationship. and a prospect either reads it and thinks, "Oh, that's me. I would love to work with this person," or they leave. And both outcomes are correct. And you can kind of sit down as an office and think about if that's something you want to implement. And if you don't realize it yet, that form is the first thing a prospect is going to see, and it's very influential. So by the time that they sit down with you, they've already formed an impression of how organized you are, how seriously you take their time and your time. So the form can do all of that for you. So think about your current form and how that's communicating as you leave today's session. And there's science to back all of this up. Research shows that humans form a first impression in roughly the first 100 milliseconds. So before a handshake, before a word, and there's something called the halo effect, which means one positive or one negative signal colors everything that follows. So if you want to kind of manipulate that bias and make it work to your advantage, that initial form could be a great anchor. So today we talked about two forms. We installed them, we branded them live. We put that contact form on our website, doing the qualification while we sleep. And then that next qualifier goes out the moment that, after. And that was the whole goal for today. Before we close, I just want to, suggest that you flip the ratio and start refining kind of the experience and the blueprint, your customer journey, and kind of just continuously work on that. You don't have to improve everything in 1 month, but if you improve every month by 1%, by the end of the year, you'll have 12% improvement in your client's journey. So next week is session 2. We're going to be talking about the financial fact finder and the first meeting. So if you have any first meeting scenarios that you want me to run, let me know. But otherwise, before the next session, send that form to the next prospect that contacts you or embed it on your website, and we'll be able to bring the observations in for next week. For letting me know, it's a nice session. I hope that it added some value to your office today, and we have much more to go over. It's going to get much more fancy down the line. Otherwise, have a great rest of the day and take care, everyone.